Hey everyone, this is Dr. Steve Orma, and today I want to answer the question, what is normal sleep? Normal is a word that comes up. I get a lot of questions with people in my Insomnia program asking me, is this normal? Is fill in the blank normal? And all different kinds of situations come up with their sleep as they're going through the process of overcoming insomnia. And they want to know because they don't know what's going on with their body, and different things happen as they're going through that process. And so frequently I hear, is it normal that X is happening? And so I wanted to kind of address this question today, but just sort of more from the perspective of, like, what is normal sleep? Like, what do we want with our sleep? What are we trying to obtain with our sleep? How do you know if you're sleeping normally or in a healthy way or not? It's pretty obvious with insomnia when there's a problem, because you're not falling asleep, you're not staying asleep, you're not getting the rest that you need. And if you're only sleeping 2, 3, 4 hours a night of sleep, it's obviously things aren't normal, especially if you previously were sleeping more hours and you were sleeping in a much different way and you weren't anxious about sleep. But how do you know, like, what to get back to, or how do you judge whether you're actually getting you've gotten back to normal, healthy sleep? And this is something that I kind of define in my program when I'm working with clients, so they know, like, where they're sort of point A, where they are right now, and then there's point B, which is where they want to get their sleep to or back to. And quite frequently they want to get it back to at least where it was before they had the insomnia, and where they don't have to really think about sleep anymore. And pretty much they want to get it to where it's normal for them. So what is normal sleep? So let me answer this question. So there's a few key things here that I think define, at least how I would define normal sleep. Number one, it's what's normal for you. So there is no normal for everybody with their sleep, just like there's no normal for diet for people, or even amounts of exercise or things like that. What is the optimal diet for someone is based on a lot of different variables, like their size, their metabolism, their personal sort of genetics and history in terms of what foods, are good for them and what foods aren't. And so because of that, it's very, what's normal for someone in this respect is what's normal for them, or what's optimal for them. So in the same way for sleep, when I work with someone, our goal is to get their sleep back to a normal, healthy sleep pattern, and what is normal for them, for their body, and for all the variables that make up them as an individual. That might mean their age, that might mean, what their body needs for recovery on average each night. And that's going to vary between people. But I will say this, that for most people, and this is just from my experience and my knowledge about sleep, 95% of people, maybe more, are going to require somewhere between 7 to 8 hours of sleep. A lot of people you'll hear say, and maybe you're one of these people who will say, well, I'm fine on 5 hours of sleep, or I'm fine on 6 hours of sleep. Some people will say, I'm fine on even 4 hours of sleep. Now, the thing is you might be fine, right? Meaning you can function, and you can, get up and go through the day, and you can get through life on, 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep, because the body is adaptive, because you're still getting, still getting like at least half of your sleep. And the body is very adaptable, and you can function in that way. You can function. That's why people can kind of live with insomnia for years, because they can still function. The question is that your goal? Do you want to just function? Do you want to just sort of get through the day and, sort of, just sort of get by? Or do you want to get your sleep to where it's going to be the healthiest and normal for you, where you're feeling your best, where you're functioning at your best, where you can have, the best life and health that you possibly can, in this area. So for most people, what's normal in terms of quantity is 7 to 8 hours. Why? Well, because we need enough time for our bodies to cycle through all the different sleep stages and and the number of cycles that our body wants it. Who knows what our body needs is our bodies, and our bodies will tell us. If you're waking up to an alarm, you're not getting enough sleep. If you're waking up naturally, consistently, and I'm not talking about insomnia here, because you will naturally wake up in the middle of the night. That doesn't mean your body, that's all it needs. It's when we get the insomnia broken and you get on a normal pattern of sleep, on average, how long are you sleeping? And your body will tell you, okay? That's one thing I figure out with my clients is, once we break the pattern of insomnia, then we're about optimizing a few different things, but one is the quantity, or how much sleep. Do they need 7 hours? Do they need 8? Do they need 7.5? Some people need 8 or 9 hours, but most people are in the 7 to 8 range. So that's usually what we're looking at. And so what is normal for someone in terms of quantity is what their body needs. It's what their body requires. Same thing for diet. How much food should you eat? Well, it's what your body requires. It's what your body wants. It's optimal for its health and being able to function and get all the nutrients that it needs. And that's specific to each person. And so what is normal is what's normal for you, and what's normal to get, the optimal amount of sleep that's healthy for you and you as an individual. Okay. Now, the second thing here is there's 3 elements that we're going for in like a normal, healthy sleep pattern. One is the quantity. And this is the one that people focus on the most. I need to get my 8 hours, or I need to get at least 7 hours. And if I get that, well, then I'm good. Okay. But that's just one element of sleep that's important. That we want to have in place. You could be getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep and still wake up not feeling rested. Or you could be getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep on some nights, but other nights you're getting 5 hours or 6 hours. And so in addition to the quantity, the number of hours that your body optimally needs, we also want to have good quality sleep. What does that mean? Quality is like how deep the sleep is, how restful the sleep is, how smooth the cycles. Are you going through all of the stages of your sleep and going through these full cycles? Is your sleep very choppy and, inconsistent, and you're waking up a lot? Or you're sleeping, but it's this kind of restless sleep where you're tossing and turning and you're never fully relaxing into the sleep. Okay, so we want the sleep obviously to be deep and smooth and restful and calm, through the night on most nights as you're going through your sleep each night. And that's going to create a good quality of sleep, where that's the sleep that gets you waking up feeling rested and refreshed, and where you felt that deep recovery, which, most people have had that at least, a handful of times in their life. Some people get it a lot more, but what that feels like. It feels amazing when you get that sleep. Now, some people, because I know that some of you watching are saying, "Oh, I've never had that," and that's true. I've worked with many people who they've had poor sleep most of their life, or as far back as they can remember, and they never feel like they get restful sleep. But most people have had that experience at least a couple of times, where you had that good night of sleep, and it just feels so amazing, and you feel so different when you get that. That's quality of sleep. Okay, so those are two of the elements. Quantity of sleep, that's the length or the amount of sleep, and then the quality, how deep and restful the sleep is. The third one is consistency, right? So we don't want you just sleeping the optimal length of sleep. a couple times a week, and we don't want you getting that deep restful sleep just a couple times a week. We want you to be doing that on most nights, on most weeks, over the course of your life. We want that to be consistent. Now, for every human being, you're not going to have, deep, restful, optimal sleep every single night for your whole life. Like that, you could say that would be like the ideal that we would like to have, but that's not going to happen for a lot of different reasons, and that's fine. We don't need that. We're as human beings, we were built to be adaptive, and we're resilient, and we evolved in conditions that were not perfect. So you can still have really healthy, normal, sleep, even though it's not perfect every night. But we want it to be as consistent as possible. More nights, optimally, where we're getting these three things, where we're getting the amount of sleep we want, that we're getting the quality of the sleep that we want, and we're getting it, on most nights, or as consistently as possible. When you have those three things in place, you're optimizing the amount of sleep you need for what's normal for you. You are getting the deep, restful sleep, and you're getting this as consistently, you're getting it on a consistent basis. Then that is what I would consider normal sleep for, each individual. And the last thing, the third element here, is that you're getting these things without any substances. You're getting these three things: quality, quantity, and consistency, without having to take a medication, whether prescribed or over the counter, without having to use any drugs like marijuana or alcohol or CBD, and without having to take any supplements, melatonin, magnesium, etc. When you can get to that place with your sleep that I described, that would be normal for your body, and you're doing it without any, substances, then you've reached normal, healthy sleep for you. And I would say that the second parts of this, the quality, quantity, and consistency, that applies to everybody, and the same thing with the substances. Okay, and then it's just a matter of the quality and the quantity being personalized to you and your body and what's optimal for you. So that is what we're aiming for. So when I work with someone with insomnia, we're not just trying to get rid of the insomnia. That's the main thing that we're doing, is we want to break the pattern of insomnia, the pattern of difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, waking up early in the morning, or a combination of these things. And we're trying to get them off sleep medication or drugs that they're using for sleep, and supplements as well. Because there's a psychological factor as well here with all these substances, and getting them to be able to sleep naturally without those things. And once we've done that, then we want to optimize the sleep over time. And I teach my clients how to do that, where, once we get them past the insomnia and off the medications and the substances, how do we then optimize this over time so we're getting them to their optimal length of sleep, where that sleep starts to deepen, and where they can maintain this, as consistently as possible, for the rest of their life, as they move forward. That is what we're going for. So, when you're wondering what's normal for your sleep, these are the criteria that you really want to go for. Now, if you have insomnia, you're not going to know what's normal. You have to go by what you were doing before the insomnia. And, unfortunately, a lot of people, even before they have insomnia, are not sleeping optimally. They're not getting enough sleep, or the quality of the sleep isn't as good, or it's not consistent. And that could be coming from many different reasons. But even if you don't have insomnia, many people are still not getting the optimal amount of sleep, or what sleep would be for normal for them in terms of quantity, quality, and consistency. So that is something that we want to establish once we get past the insomnia. All right. So just to summarize here, what is normal sleep? Normal sleep is what's normal for you and your body, but for most people, in terms of quantity, that's somewhere between 7 to 8 hours. That might be more for you. But it's generally going to be, for most people, within that range. Number two, we're looking for quality sleep. That is sleep that is restful, that is deep. We are going through all your different stages and all the different cycles of sleep that you should be going to on a given night. And then that pattern is consistent as possible, night by night, week by week, as you move through your life, and that you're able to achieve this without taking any substances, drugs, medications, supplements, any of those kinds of things. You can sleep without those things. All right, so I hope this is helpful to give you, a way to sort of measure how your sleep is. If you found this video helpful, just press the like button. And if you're on YouTube, you can subscribe to my channel. And I do 2 of these videos every week. They post on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if you have questions, I actually recently started a series that this is the videos that we'll post on Thursday. It's a series called Sleep Secrets. And this is where I answer viewer questions. So if you have a question about the video today, or you have a question about insomnia or your own sleep, and you want me to answer it in a video, then you could just post those questions below in the comment section. I read every comment and everything everybody writes. And if you have a question that seems like it'd be a good one for a video, then I'll do a future video just for you to answer that question. All right, so have a good rest of your week, and I will see you next time.